Hello, our lovely listeners. Welcome back. This is Ray Johnson from the Sunshine and Star Show, and we have our lovely Lauren Green.
That's me. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is still shining as bright as you always have. Yeah, you are. Of course, you are. Our audience.
I like how you turned into like supportive auntie mode.
Yeah. Just don't outshine us. That's what you can't do.
You're so goofy.
If you do, just keep it to yourself, but don't let us know about that, or don't put it on social media, because we're the real stars and sunshine of the show.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of social media, we decided to do something a little bit different for this episode. We were actually going to give advice on what we think we would do or recommend for someone in a situation to do, because we're doing it. We're making the plunge into Reddit and reading stories and giving our insights. I'll start off with a real short one just to get us started. And of course, it's the Am I the A-hole subreddit that I pulled most of mine, because they're always asking for a verdict. To refrain from saying a-hole the whole time, because I just don't feel comfortable saying it multiple times. It could have turned into a drinking game, but no. I'm just going to say, am I the jerk or the butt or something, just so I feel a bit better about it.
That it isn't a drinking game. I could have brought some White Claws. I was just at the store the other day and I saw them. Okay, that's a lie, actually. I'm not a huge fan of White Claws, so maybe some wine or champagne or something. Oh, you know what? No, or some margaritas, because my friends and I had some yesterday before our football game, which, by the way, I'm upset that we lost.
Yeah, if your favorite team loses, you don't talk about it. It never happened. It's erased from the stats, you know?
Especially if it happened the last 3 seconds of the game, when we were so close.
That's a real good game, but it also stinks that it wasn't in your favor.
It's true. But anyways, just a game, and so to help keep my mind off of that, you can share your story.
Yeah, honestly, it's always just interesting to me, because even though they put their age of like, I am so-and-so, like 19 female or whatever, you can also just tell by their mindset the age too, because I know in my earlier 20s, because next year I'm going to be 26, which is crazy. But I feel like a lot more things seem like the end of the world, so I feel like we might get some of that mindset in these stories. Who knows? So we'll leave that up to you to decide as well after our insights, but this first short story is Am I the jerk for leaving my sister's wedding early after she made a joke about my job in her speech? Ooh, that's some tea right there. So, this person, 18 male, just graduated from high school and had been working part-time as a busser at a restaurant. It is not a glamorous job, but it's super chill, and honestly, I kinda love it. I'm saving money for school, I get along with my coworkers, it's honest work. I guess my family likes to tease me about it sometimes, but whatever. My older sister, 25 female, it's a good thing I'm not a sibling, because it ain't me. I'm not the 25 female. I'm kidding. Got married over the weekend. During her reception speech, she did this whole thing thanking everyone. And she looks at me and says, and thanks to my name, for leaving the dishes behind to bless us with his presence. Okay, that's a bit unnecessary. Anyway. Everyone laughed. I didn't. I was mortified. It was so embarrassing, and I could tell everyone was looking at me, especially all of her friends and my whole extended loud family. I've been insecure enough about not having a real job yet compared to my cousins, etc. I tried to brush it off, but my parents kept teasing me about it at dinner. I don't know. It just felt like the whole wedding was ruined for me. About 30 minutes, I quietly got up and left and went home, and I did not make a scene or fuss about it. Now my sister's upset, saying I ruined her wedding by storming off so early and that it was just a joke. My parents are upset as well, saying I embarrassed her by being sensitive. But my friends are saying she was out of line, and I was absolutely in the right to get angry. So I'm asking Reddit, am I the jerk for walking out on my sister's wedding? So I want to get your thoughts before my thoughts since I just read the story. So what do you think?
Well, I would say that it's kind of complicated because during a wedding, of course, you don't want to cause a scene, and that is supposed to be a special day for the two people who are getting married. So I would say if there is any drama, I would just say maybe resolve it or address it after the wedding. But on the other hand, I can see where her feelings are coming from. She felt hurt, and of course, her feelings were justifiable too. So if she really felt that she was not respected or if she really wasn't wanted there, then hey, in a way, that kind of reminds me of another story I saw on social media where this woman was talking at her mother's funeral and there were relatives there who had no kind of relationship with her mom, and she was calling them out and telling them off at the funeral saying, I don't know why y'all are even here. You never liked my mama. You never called her. You never even cared about her. So it kind of reminds me of that. So I see where this woman was coming from. She's just being real and honest. So if that's the case, if that's how she felt, and I think her feelings were valid, so maybe she did the right thing in her own right.
I mean, this sister was in the wrong because, I mean, this is a guy that just graduated from high school, and, there's always a societal pressure. And I know from just graduating college and doing a humble job myself of working at a golf course that sometimes you do get in your head a bit of thinking you should already have a different type of job by now and all this that kind of other stuff. And he's dealing with these thoughts even younger than I am, so I can only imagine how much pressure he feels from his family because it's the first real milestone graduation for him before even going to college. And the fact that the sister is more concerned about making a joke during her speech than the feelings of her younger brother just says a lot about, who she is, because she should be making it a lot more about her day and the love of her husband and, inside jokes of them as a couple could be fine, obviously. I mean, that's what these types of speeches are for anyways, even if the bride is not making them, close friends like a maid of honor or something. But that's not the case. She just completely called out her brother, basically saying, I have an idealized version of what you should be doing in life, and I'm going to call you out and make you feel like you're less than. And it's just so silly to a day about you to make it about someone else and make them feel worse about themselves. Because now he's clearly in his head about feeling more insecure about it. And the family, too, like the parents saying, embarrassing her by being sensitive. They know that he didn't take that well enough to pick up on the fact that he was sensitive. And to blame him instead of, the sister being like this to him is pretty sad. Because I know from their perspective, like, we spent all this money on this wedding, and, one of the family walked out, but he tried his best to do it quietly. So it is pretty tricky. And as much as it would be easy to quote unquote keep the peace and just sit there and take it, sometimes if you already feel bad about something that you're insecure about and someone points it out in an embarrassing public manner, you just kind of snap inside and want to leave. But, at least he didn't yell back or anything like that. But yeah, this is tough.
So I think like excusing himself from the situation was the right thing to do. And like I said, like once everything was over, if he wanted to have a conversation with her and just go off whatever term you want to use or address how he really felt, then he would have been completely in the right.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I feel like even though that was kind of a short one, it was already pretty crazy. We are just getting started.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. And to think that this actually happens too.
I know that within these Reddit threads and stuff, sometimes people in the comments, especially, which makes me thankful that after reading it, then they say, oh, this is actually a fake one. That there can be fake stories, but you could definitely tell with how that was written, that was quite real. So.
Yeah.
So I'll read another one that's kind of medium length, and then you can read yours afterwards, if that's cool.
Oh, sounds perfect.
This one is Am I the Jerk for Embarrassing a Woman in Front of the Gate Agent at an airport. Um, as I told Lauren before we started recording, I've only read the titles and I haven't read the stories yet, so it's my first reading. And just from the title alone, it's giving Karen vibes, but we'll see.
Oh boy.
There was an incident at the airport last week, and my sister says I was a little bit of a jerk for what I, 28 female, was flying home after visiting family and was flying Southwest, the airline that doesn't assign seats but rather a boarding letter, A through C, and a number, 1 through 60. The earlier your letter and number, normally the better seat you would get, so naturally people want to get earlier to get a good seat. Southwest has a policy that between Group A and B, they let active duty military board, no matter their boarding group. I'm active duty, and I had Group C, one of the last Group C tickets, so I happily joined the line once they called for active duty military. Okay, I have a feeling I can see where this is going, but I'm going to keep reading. I got behind a woman and her 2 kids and waited for them to scan their IDs and board the plane. However, the woman wasn't active duty. Her husband was, and he was not there. Southwest is very strict about the active duty policy. You have to be a service member and not a dependa, which is a dependent who's married to a service member. The lovely gentleman behind the counter was being very patient with her and explaining this rule, but she was having none of it. He motioned for me to come forward because he saw my active duty ID saying I could board. As I was walking around her, she said in a raised voice, not yelling, but not quite far from that either, "You won't let me on, but you let on another wife? This is the first incident where I might be the jerk." I was already very tired from traveling, so I very bluntly said, "Ma'am, it's not the 1960s anymore. Women can serve in the military themselves." This caused the very nice gate agent to chuckle, which I believe made the lady even angrier. She then did something I could not have seen having been done. For some backstory, sometimes dependas try to use the rank of their spouse to gain authority. I haven't seen it in a long time because most spouses know it's not a polite thing to do. Well, she tried to do that to me, and loudly said, "My husband is a chief. You need to show me some more respect." This is the second incident where I might be the jerk. For non-military people, a chief is an E7 in the Navy, a very high rank on the enlisted side. However, officers outrank all those enlisted, and I'm an officer. So then I respond, "Ma'am, pulling your husband's rank only works if the person using it on doesn't outrank them, and I definitely outrank him." And with that, I put my headphones on and walked down the ramp to the plane. Luckily, her initial argument with the gate attendant took enough time for the ramp to clear out, so I walked right onto the plane without having to wait for a bunch of people while they put their bags up and found seats. I got a very fun death glare from her when she boarded the plane a few minutes later, but didn't make much of it. When I was telling my sister what happened, she said I was a jerk for being so public about it, but I feel like I respond the same energy she gave, so I don't know. Am I the jerk here?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
No. Oh my god, no.
I totally agree, but I want to hear more of your thoughts on her boss energy here.
In order to qualify for that, first of all, this woman was a military service.
Yeah, I don't know her exact rank of officers, but she's high enough to where apparently that outranks a Navy chief. So when I'm thinking, because she said the quantifier of Navy, she might be just in the military as a lady officer, so she probably has a decent rank, yeah.
Yeah, so she was qualified to sit in that section. The other woman was not. I mean, being married to someone who is a Navy chief or just, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't talk today. Is it Navy chief, or could you repeat that again?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know why with you bringing that up, but and then she even noticed herself that with the policy, I feel even if it wasn't an explicitly written policy to where it has to be the military service person themselves, that it still would just be a good rule of thumb to quote unquote not abuse a connection like that in order to get what you want in the entitled way that this other person, that this story writer was talking about, is having, because, I mean, that's just, for me, in my personal life, I feel like that would just be like, "Oh yeah, my husband got like a really cool part in a play, I have that same part too. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Like he did the work, he did the audition. It's his part. That's just ugh. It's so silly.
Is, I mean, yeah, and for her to just automatically assume that because the other person's a woman that she can't be in the military. I mean, hello, what like the woman said, this is not the 1950s or 60s. But actually, there were women before that who did serve in the military.
True, they may have been like nurses or something, but they still are considered serving, even in those days. And it's just as important because, hey, you need to have able bodied people and taking care of them so there's not an even higher death toll, the hope is. But yeah, it is really funny how she clapped back because I personally feel, even though this already seems like an angry person she was talking with, that she couldn't have been any calmer with her responses and just straight up saying facts. I mean, she saying, "Hey, I'm the military person," and it doesn't even say either way here if she's married or not. So also for that woman to assume she was a wife is crazy too. And this is coming from someone who is a wife, but like it's just insane. And yeah, it's just really sad when these kind of people walk around thinking that they're entitled to things that they're not, especially because they're taking away from things that these type of people are the type to take it away from someone that could truly need it. I feel like this kind of same energy of the mean nasty lady here would probably do that to someone in disabled seating or something. Say, oh, my husband has um, Parkinson's disease, so therefore I need to take this special seating instead of you, someone who's clearly struggling. It's giving that same energy, and I don't like it at all. And so I'm glad she handled it the way that she did, and the fact she even got the gate agent to chuckle too is pretty funny. Because, they probably get a lot of crap like this all the time. Flights getting canceled, all this kind of stuff where it's like, hey, I'm just behind the desk. I'm not the one that canceled it. But
Very
yeah,
much so, and I think it
crazy.
gives us a better insight of how to resolve these situations if you do encounter them in real life. I don't know, in an event like that, yeah, I would have definitely said something to her, but I think if the person, like in that case, continues to cause a scene, that's when the flight officials need to take charge and possibly consider removing that person from the plane because we don't need that kind of drama on a flight.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, thankfully she was already shut down, so to speak, with being more defiant before the plane boarding. But yeah, you're right. If it continued to escalate, that she's definitely the kind of volatile person that would need to stand down, if you will, and not go on the flight. What juicy stories do you have over there?
Well, this is a Reddit story from a show that I've watched for years. I'm not sure if any of you watched any of the Real Housewives franchises. Do you watch them?
I've heard about them, but I haven't watched them, no.
Okay. Well, this is more of an older story that happened back in 2018, but from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and it was the subject that caused Lisa Vanderpump, one of the original cast members, to leave the show because of the Puppygate scandal. And for anyone who has watched the show, Lisa Vanderpump is a huge animal rights activist and dog lover, so she has her own Vanderpump Dogs organization. And to give a brief overview of what this was about, the little message I have right here says, Puppygate was a controversy during season 9 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where Dorit Kemsley adopted a dog from Lisa Vanderpump's Vanderpump Dogs Rescue, then gave the dog away, resulting in it ending up in a shelter. The situation escalated when the dog was found by Vanderpump Dogs employees, who then informed Lisa Vanderpump and Teddy Mellencamp, leading to accusations that Vanderpump had leaked the story to the press to make Dorit look bad. This led to a major feud between Lisa Vanderpump and the cast, causing her to quit the show and skip the season 9 reunion. Now, to get into the Reddit story, as for any of you who aren't familiar with this episode or the show, Kyle, who was Lisa's best friend on the show for many years, supposedly, but we're going to assume they were because they were the closest out of the cast. Well, Kyle went to Lisa's home and told her about the story, Ironically, Dorit did not go to Lisa first, even considering it was her who they were talking about. But Kyle went to Lisa's house and confronted her about that. And Lisa swore to her that she didn't leak the story to Radar Online, it was the news outlet, and that she went to TMZ and defended Dorit and said, no, this is not true, and she basically shut the rumor down. But Kyle has said that because Lisa's been accused of leaking stories in the past, she didn't believe that. So Lisa felt betrayed by her and ended the friendship.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was very heated. Like that was like the one of the most controversial moments of that season. And when you could hear like Lisa's husband yelling "Goodbye, Kyle" in the end, that became a famous tagline. So the Reddit story I have, it's Puppygate opinion. And this person said, I am currently going through season 9 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I'm sorry, but anybody that is against LVP is wrong. First off, there already is proof out there that Teddy altered the text message proof she had against LVP. But on top of that, this isn't a matter of hurting someone's feelings. If Dorit is responsible for the dog ending up at a shelter, then who cares if Lisa tells people? It's Dorit's fault that she couldn't use the pea-sized brain of hers to realize, oh, maybe I should tell Lisa the dog isn't working with our family situation. Second off, Kyle was the one who was trying to cause the so-called Puppygate to catch fire and become a storyline so she could become the next Queen Bee of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Finally, LVP was going through the death of her brother. As someone who rarely showed emotions, the fact that she cried numerous times shows she was struggling. If someone was struggling, who the F cares if she told the truth about Dorit's mistake? Someone should have been actually trying to check in on her. This season made me realize women, once in the spotlight, truly only care about themselves. Dorit and Teddy and Kyle suck. So before I give my opinion, because I have watched this episode and that scene where Kyle and Lisa had a falling out, I want to hear your thoughts first.
My goodness. I mean, I know reality TV can get spicy and stuff like that, but good night. I mean, okay. Like you said, you watched the show, so I don't know the context as far as like what led up to this incident, as far as her even thinking remotely she would have any right to give away another person's animal. I mean, I'm sure with how Lisa seems to be an advocate and stuff like that and has a love for animals, they wouldn't be, trained badly or anything like that or bite at people or whatever. So I don't know what could have been going on behind the scenes of how disruptive the dog was or anything, but that's just ridiculous. I mean, I read a Reddit story kind of similar to this where, or listened to rather, someone else reading a Reddit story talking about how this girlfriend boyfriend were living together, and before he moved in to her place, she precursored, hey, I have a cat. He says, oh, I have allergies, but I'll just keep taking allergy pills to try to make it work. And after a while, he was getting annoyed that he had to keep doing that, even though it's literally what he signed up for, but anyway. And basically was trying to convince her to give away her cat. And thankfully, that didn't actually transpire and she broke up with him. But the fact that a trusted friend actually fell through and did that, enough to where they can go to each other's places and feel safe and comfortable, because she had to have gone to her house somehow without her knowing in order to give away the dog, or however that situation transpired. I don't know the details of if they lived in the same place or not, but still, just having the audacity to pull that off in the first place or to think that it'd be okay. Especially because that dog didn't know what's going on. It's just like, why am I, what did I do? It's just freaking out. And as far as the press release stuff, that person has a good point. I mean, the fact that something that bad was done at a certain level, when the news gets out, it doesn't really matter who leaked it. And whether she did or not, it doesn't excuse the actions of what caused that to happen. I personally am not a big fan of paparazzi and things like that, but if they do happen to catch something slight, not on the up and up that a celebrity does, then when it comes to light, they shouldn't have done the thing that they did if they didn't want it to come out, because it always will eventually, the truth always eventually comes out. So, whether it was another trusted friend that leaked it or not, that was not involved in this Puppygate thing, it's just more just the fact it happened is really the upsetting part, especially because the dog is so innocent in all this and not knowing what's wrong to be in a situation to be taken away from its owner.
I agree, and you're right. Like, no matter who leaked it, the truth was going to come out eventually, and what's done in the darkness shall come to light. So, my whole take on it was because I did watch the episode where Kyle and the other women were talking about it at lunch, and then Kyle went to Lisa's house and told her. Then the whole falling out happened. And then Lisa and her husband met with Dorit and her husband later on. And here's my whole take on it. First of all, I understand that the dog was not a right fit for Dorit and her family because they adopted it from Lisa's Vanderpump Dog Center first, from what I've read. But then because the dog was biting a lot, Dorit decided that the dog wasn't a good fit for her, so she reportedly gave it to somebody else and thought she found a good home. But that new owner was having some problems with it too, so they took it to a shelter. And yeah, so my whole opinion is that, first of all, I don't believe Lisa leaked the story to Radar Online, and I think it was wrong and very unfair and cruel for her so-called friends to accuse her of that when they didn't have all the facts and they really didn't know for sure who did it or how it could have come out. And I heard Kyle say that she had a hard time believing that Lisa didn't do that because she had been accused of leaking stories to the press in the past. Well, that's the past. And first of all, you're talking about accusations. I mean, being accused of something is one thing, but can you actually corroborate that this person said or did something? So that's what I would like to ask Kyle. Okay, she was accused of leaking stories in the past. Do you know for a fact if she did? And that doesn't mean that she did it in this scenario. Maybe she didn't. But when I heard the whole argument between the two, Lisa said that she didn't do it. She said that she spoke with a different news source that day and basically debunked all the rumors or the false allegations. But she swore on her children's lives and one of her own dog's lives that she and no one she knew leaked the story to Radar Online about Dorit. She took a polygraph test and she was cleared. And I was listening to one of her other interviews from about a year ago, and she said that when a person swears on their children's life that they didn't do something, then she said, to me, that would be enough to believe them. I would never for a second doubt that they were telling the truth because I don't think a mother does that. And she's right. So the way I see it, unless the person's a bad parent or a pathological liar or a narcissist, which I don't believe Lisa is from what I can tell of her, I can tell that she loves her children more than anything in the world. And I've always supported her. She was one of my favorites on the show. So I don't believe she leaked the story to Radar Online. Maybe it's possible someone in her camp might have done it, or someone else who was close to the women, they might have leaked it, but I don't believe she did. And I don't blame her for telling Kyle and Dorit, you're not going to call me a liar and get away with it. I mean, if you think I gave this story to Radar Online, we don't have a friendship. And I agree with her. So maybe Dorit should have handled the situation better. And if she firmly believed that this dog wasn't a right fit for her family, all she had to do was just come clean and handle that the right way.
Yeah, she could have asked for help, and also as far as the whole blame game goes, I mean, with the more context that the dog apparently was bad behaved, it is unfortunate when that happens, but you also don't, it hadn't, caused anyone any serious injuries to, warrant to be put down or anything like that, from what I can tell. So there's always, hope for behavioral changes. There's specific places that dogs can go in order to, be trained and stuff. So she could have just reached out to someone like Lisa for help. Be like, hey, I don't know what's going on. For whatever reason, the dog's just not adjusting. It's acting out. And another family tried too because we didn't want it to be harmed or harm anyone else. We thought maybe a different environment would help. It didn't. Just be blunt and honest about what's going on instead of, endangering an animal to go to a place where it's going to be taken less care of. But yeah, that's, as far as the leaking, I mean, usually when people accuse other people leaking things, saying, that Lisa did in the past, because, with these reality stars, it's whatever. Everyone has a past of leaking stuff, I'm sure. Which I'm also meaning that the person claiming that probably has leaked stuff in the past too, but of course won't admit to it, because it's just the culture of the show they're in life they're surrounded by. So, with that mindset of the reality of them being stars and stuff, everyone's going to leak something at some point. It's just how that game goes, if you will. So I'm sure she's not exactly innocent herself either. And maybe also didn't leak this particular story as well. But you're right, without evidence to claim, oh, for sure, I saw her send the press release. You can't claim someone did it. But yeah, it could. I do agree with you that it could have been someone in Lisa's camp. A manager or something. Or someone else really close to her that may have, but either way, it's just an unfortunate circumstance. So, that's pretty wild. And we both love animals, so that's what makes it really sad, I'm sure, for both of us to even think about something like this happening.
I know it was terrible, and it's. I think it's also even more sad that their friendship ended because of this. But I understand Lisa's point of view. Like, I mean, if you're telling your friend that you didn't do something, you're giving them their word that you didn't do it, swearing on your children's lives and your dog's life, her Jiggy, who passed away a couple of years ago, then. If Kyle is supposed to be, if Kyle was her best friend or her friend like she claimed she was, then I would think she would believe her. And that's the other thing, too. Kyle said she went over to Lisa's house to talk to her about that because she felt bad that she and the other women were having the conversation at lunch behind Lisa's back, and Lisa wasn't there to defend herself and give her side of the story. I don't think that was Kyle's place to even go to Lisa and confront her about that or talk to her. Dorit was the one who gave the dog up for adoption. So if Dorit was the one who was upset about this, and if she felt Lisa hurt her, which I don't believe she did, but if she felt that way, why didn't Dorit go to Lisa's house or go talk to her about this? Why was Kyle doing that? Like, Dorit's a grown woman; she can speak for herself. She didn't need Kyle to go over there and speak for her.
I agree with that. I mean, if you have a direct problem with someone, you shouldn't have a mediator in such a weird way. It only should ever come to that if after you guys talk things out and it's clearly we're getting nowhere, we need someone else to help translate for things to be better in an all around better conversation. But that's not what's happening. She basically sent a messenger to shoot on her behalf. That's just, it's not the way to go about it, because you also lose respect too. Well, why are you sending someone else to talk to me about something that I don't have a problem with this person right now, but well, kind of now I do, because they're speaking on your behalf about a situation they probably shouldn't be involved in. It's that kind of thing. But man, I mean, I know it's called reality TV, and there's a lot of things about it that can be fake, but man, the reality of this dog suffering is what sucks the most.
I know, yeah. I'm sure they found the dog. I think her name was Lucy. I think they found her a good home at some point, and I'm glad they did. Maybe she just needed to be trained, or she was a puppy, so she just needed to be trained. But that's for.
So true. And it's just crazy the different parts of life that you can come across someone that is demeaning or entitled, or in this last story, both, because they're demeaning someone by saying that, oh, you're the one that did this. At the same time, they gave away a dog, and they felt entitled enough to do that. So it's pretty funny how my first two stories that I read talked about someone demeaning their sibling, and then the second one was an entitled lady at an airport, and how reality TV just encompasses it all the time.
And about your stories too, like, why is it that a lot of family conflict happens either at weddings, funerals, or family reunions? You always know someone's going to show off in some way.
Yeah, because there's always that one family member that wants to one up or, peacock and posture themselves, and I guess they feel the only time they can do that is with an audience of the rest of the family they don't normally see. Who knows?
Oh my God. Well, unfortunately, I think that sister, she might have destroyed a relationship unless she and her brother have patched things up, which I don't know how you can restore a relationship after that, but you hope for the best.
Now, there's no update, so I do hope that, like you were suggesting earlier, that I agree with, that they do talk things out, because That is a tough thing. And you know that brother before that moment happened was wishing his sister well. But speaking of which, we wish you guys well, and we'll see you next time for the season finale of episode 8. Woohoo!
Stay tuned, everyone.
Bye, y'all.